Hey guys, HannahFan97203 here. Oh wow, okay, as you can tell from the title, the Fallout 76 trailer, the official trailer, not the teaser trailer, has finally been released. Oddly enough, it's before the Bethesda E3 conference. It was released at the Xbox E3 conference, and now it can be found on a few different YouTube channels. I will have one of them linked below so you can watch that video. Well, the link to the video, not to the channel. So definitely check that out, because I'm not going to be showing you the trailer or any clips from it or anything. I'm not one of those guys. Instead, I just want to talk about it, and then you guys can watch it for yourself, and then tell me what you think. Give your thoughts on it, because that'll be interesting. I know the West Virginian area, this Charleston area, some of the areas that we're looking at much better than I know the areas that we looked at in previous Fallout games, so that'll be interesting. At the Xbox E3 conference, we were told that this game is supposed to be, map-wise, 4 times the size of Fallout 4. Which is quite large. I thought Fallout 4 was a little small, personally, but not too small. But this might be a little bit on the big side, and that I'm not going to complain about. If they were to make this 1-to-1 scale and add in everything that they show in the trailer, it would probably be a fair bit bigger than that. Actually, quite a bit bigger than that. I think Greenbriers. Is it a couple hours away from Charleston? I don't know. It would be ridiculously big if they were to put everything in the trailer 1-to-1 scale on the map. But they never do that with Fallout games. I mean, Fallout 3, we get the DC area, everything is shrunk down quite a bit. Well, not necessarily shrunk down. Things are changed to make it so you get all of the big places that you want to go to, but not necessarily have to deal with all the boring bullshit in between. They've done that with pretty much every Fallout game. The first two, not so much, but the first two were very different. But all the 3D Bethesda Fallout games, they've done that with, so that's not surprising at all. Obviously, it takes place in West Virginia. We get that based on the song, based on the fact that we see Charleston. I believe I mentioned that already. When we see Charleston, it's nuked to hell, which is not surprising, because this is 25 years after the war. They would have bombed a large city like that. We get to see the state capitol building with its golden dome. That's pretty cool, seeing that after the war. We see some weird creature, I think, in the foreground. I can't tell if it's like a weird, like if it's got a spine that's almost protruding out of its skin, or if it just has a shell. But I think it's one of the two. So it's either an insectoid or crab-based creature, something like a mirelurk or one of the fire ant kind of things. Or it might be something kind of like a mole rat where their spine is like poking out the back. I don't think it'd be anything like Deathclaw. It seemed too small for that, and I don't think Deathclaws will even appear in this game, considering the lore behind that. But who knows? Bethesda has retconned things before. And then we also get to see one more shot that shows us things having been nuked to hell. This is not in chronological order according to the trailers. It's just when I want to talk about things. Suck it. And we get to see this little street that's blown up, and just like the shot in Charleston, which I think this is probably on the outer edges of Charleston, it's got that orange tint, like yellowish orangish tint, kind of like we saw with some parts of the Glowing Sea, where it had that tint to everything. The sky and everything just looked almost diseased. Kind of had the same look to it. This one had some blown out cars, ripped straight out of Fallout 4. But it also had this really interesting creature. It walked like a gorilla, or at least it looked like it did. I couldn't tell very well. It was kind of small on the right side of the screen. But it walked kind of like a gorilla. It seemed to be all gray. It was very muscular. It looked humanoid. Didn't seem to have any fur. It was like a super mutant if it walked like a gorilla and was all gray. And it was gnarly looking, man. That looks like that'll be a fun enemy to fight. That looks like that's your replacement for your Deathclaws. Maybe a replacement for the super mutants, but that feels like more of a Deathclaw replacement. So that's cool. I'm excited about that. But then other than those two shots, everything else is very lush and green. You can kind of see that here, but there's a lot of shots in the trailer that I'm not going to show right now. that are very lush. Tons of trees and foliage, almost like a state park. And that makes sense. West Virginia is pretty rural, especially compared to our other settings that we've had for Bethesda Fallout games. It's quite rural. It's got a lot of hills and mountains and cliffs and trees, and it's just really different. Which, from what we can tell from the trailer, or what I can tell at least, means that most of the map isn't going to be nearly as poisonous as you would think, being only 25 years after the bombings, because it's so rural. It's not something that I really thought about beforehand, but now that I've watched the trailer, it makes a lot of sense, and I think that's kind of a neat thing. They picked the setting because 25 years after the bombs, any of the previous settings, that would be just lethal. This one, it's a bit more rural. They can get away with it. Makes sense. So that's interesting, and that's kind of cool. We can see a lot of, like, watchtowers like you would see in a state park, and then also a bunch of other large towers that don't really look like watchtowers. So your watchtower, that's usually a very tall wooden structure with basic stilts and then a stairway going up, and then at the very top you have a very house-like structure that's your actual lookout post, right? A bunch of these towers didn't have that. So that's different. It's nothing I've seen in West Virginia, let's put it that way. But it could be one of those things that they added in only in the Fallout universe. We also see massive mining machines that look really cool. Holy crap, that looks cool. So it's almost guaranteed that they're taking a lot of inspiration from that coal mining aspect that is very relevant for West Virginia. And at one point, we see a guy holding what looks to be a modified fire axe, a fireman's hat, and then some sort of coat. So I would assume he's like a fireman getup in general, but like a modded... So it's like modified to be armored and such for the wasteland. And he's down in this cavern, and it looks like there's industrial stuff way back in the back of the cavern, but just in front of him is either irradiated pools of gunk, or it could be more molten kind of stuff. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's irradiated gunk, but it could be really deep underground, and then maybe there's some molten rock and stuff. I can't say for sure, but it's very clear that the coal mining aspects of West Virginia were definitely taken into account here, which I think is awesome. I think that'll be really cool to see in the Fallout games. A lot of the towns we see, other than Charleston, are in really good condition, with cars that aren't even chipped paint-wise, look like you can get right in them and drive off in the distance. The roads are cracked, but they're not cracked as if they'd been blown up. They're cracked as if Mother Nature is ripping them apart as nature starts to take over. And the buildings are the same way. They don't look obliterated by bombs. They look more like The Last of Us, where nature is retaking everything, which is really cool. And that'll be neat to see in a Fallout game. It looks like some of your greenery mods that people make for Fallout 4. So that's neat. And rumor has it a bunch of modders for Fallout 4 have been involved in making different things for this game. So it's possible some of your favorite modders who made your greenery mods got involved in making this game. It's kind of neat. At one point, you can see the shot right here. We see the power armor, some T-51 power armor, stuck in the dirt that was seen at the beginning of the trailer, being used by a soldier as he onlooked nuclear bombs crashing in the distance and exploding and whatnot. From what I can tell, he was in a militarized zone, but it's hard to tell based on that short clip because it's black and white and there's nuclear bombs going off in the background. It's hard to tell, but I think he was in a military zone, whether that be a fort or just something else, I don't know. I can't think of any West Virginian forts that would be anywhere near Charleston, but it's Fallout, they like to skew things, so who knows. But as you can see, the armor is here, it's been buried in the dirt, the guy has been long dead. We see three characters pass by, a scavenger, somebody who looks to be wearing a Vault suit with leather armor on top of it, and then our pal over here in the Vault 76 suit, starting with the scav, then the armored 76, then this guy. The other two just walk past it, then this guy kind of stops next to it and looks down at it, and then it cuts away. seems to hit more at the multiplayer, which I think is pretty much a guarantee that we're going to get at least an optional co-op mode. But we'll see. That's just a little hint. There's another shot where we see a giant ring kind of thing. It looks like a giant ring with a couple of metal supports in the middle of it, with a couple of things jutting off of the sides. But then it's like partially stuck in the ground. It's massive. I don't know what it is. I haven't seen anything like it in West Virginia. I think it's one of those things that's just in the Fallout universe, but I don't know. I've heard some people say, oh, it's a spaceship. It doesn't look anything like a spaceship. It looks too hollow. It looks too empty. It looks like it's actually a metal ring either used for communication or transport of materials or something. Not so much an alien spaceship. That doesn't fit with previous alien spaceship designs and concepts from previous Fallout games. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Throughout the trailer, we see a lot of different armors used by the characters shown and a lot of different weapons being carried. It seems like they'll be bringing back some of that armor and weapon customization, but I can't tell. In one shot, we see a flying creature. Looks kind of humanoid, but it's got wings. I don't know if it's a mutated bat. They do have bats in West Virginia. Or it could be a reference to Mothman. That is a myth. If you haven't heard about it, it's a moth-like man who looks on right before great disasters happen. Could take some inspiration from that. And this could be an interesting one-off quest. You know, there's a unique character you can find, a unique NPC that you can find called Mothman, and maybe you get a quest where you have to hunt him down and take him out, but then you talk to him, and then you can either take him out or you can help him, and it turns out, no, it's just a coincidence or something, or maybe he's like the ant agonizer, he's not actually a moth person, he's just wearing a costume. I don't know. But he's way up in the air, so I think he probably does actually fly. Though, keep in mind, it could just be a mutated bat, in which case, it's probably it's probably like the Cazadors. And if that's the case, oh dear God, no! Oh, I hated the Cazadors. But no matter what, there's a flying enemy, so that'll be fun. And he was pretty far up in the air. It wasn't like the bloatflies from Fallout 4 where they hover a few feet off the ground and that's it. He was probably, I don't know, maybe 20 feet off the ground, maybe less, maybe like 15 to 20 feet off the ground, I'd say. It's hard to tell, but he's up there. He's not low. And then there's one thing. We also get to see the West Virginia University. It's got the Vault Boy as a statue in front of it, so it's clearly been Fallout-ified, I guess you could say. That appears, so we'll probably be going there. There's one place, the Greenbrier. It is a resort in West Virginia, and at first it's like, okay, whatever. When you see it in the trailer, it's got some robots out front, so it's like, okay, that could be a cool place to go. It's been well maintained, just like a lot of this stuff seems to be pretty good condition. But this has been really well maintained. That could be cool to go to. If you look it up and do any research into it, there is a bunker beneath that resort, and in that bunker, well, in real life, in that bunker, that's where Congress and the President can go during a nuclear attack. Now, obviously in the Fallout universe, the Enclave went to the oil rig. So some people are going to say, oh, so this is going to be a cool military base underneath it that we're going to get to explore. And that's possible. But I think we're going to find some Enclave down there. I think the Enclave are going to be the enemies, and they're going to be hidden down beneath the Greenbrier Resort. And I think it's going to be awesome. Getting to fight the Enclave again. And they're going to be using the new power armor system. And they're going to be using Exo 1 power armor. Dude, oh, it's going to be so cool. I'm excited. I am really thrilled for that. But we'll see. We'll see. That's just theorizing. I don't know. Can't say for sure. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in this trailer that say this is going to be a fun world to check out, and there's a lot of things that hint that a lot of mechanics are going to be coming back from Fallout 4, and maybe some things are going to be coming back from a long time ago. Oh boy. Ooh. There's one shot in the trailer where we are shown a power plant, a nuclear power plant, off in the distance. It seems to be in good condition. So that might be a big source of radiation. Could be like a Chernobyl kind of thing. Be interesting to see. I'm excited for that. Outside of the trailer, I know there's been a lot of discussion about factions. Some leaks have said the Enclave might return. Other leaks have said that a couple of factions will return, and there'll be a few new ones. I would say most definitely that at least one faction will be returning, because it's Bethesda. They can't resist doing that. They always do that. I don't have a problem with it. I love to see returning factions. I'm happy about that. But they do also like to always add in new factions. Fallout 3, we had the Brotherhood Outcasts added in. We had the Children of Adam added in. Who else do we have added in Fallout 3 who is new? Tenpenny Tower, kind of. Underworld, kind of, in a way. Rivet City was kind of a faction. But for the most part, you had your Outcasts and Children of Adam were kind of your two big new additions to your proper faction lineup. New Vegas had a bunch of them, stuff like your Boomers, you have Enclave Remnants, you got your Caesar's Legion, you got your NCR, a ton of factions, though some of them are kind of left over from the first two Fallout games, so that's a bit complicated there. And of course some of them are ripped straight out of the original plans for Fallout 3, but whatever. And then Fallout 4, you had your Institute, your Railroad, and your Minutemen, along with expansions on some previous factions, like your Children of Adam, and technically we had the people at Saugus Ironworks were kind of a faction, your Nuka World Raiders, your Gunners. How am I forgetting about the Gunners? So I'd say it's a safe bet that there's going to be some new factions and some old factions shown off in Fallout 76, and here in a few hours we should be seeing them in the proper conference. So that's going to be exciting. But so far nothing. But yeah, so that's the breakdown of the trailer, I suppose, of all the little bits, out of order, of course, because it's me. That's what I do. Really, what you want to be taking away from this trailer is that Fallout 76 is going to be very lush. It's probably going to be pretty harsh based on the enemies that we saw, and also the fact that everything's very wooded, so you're not going to see a lot of those enemies until they get close. Unless you're in the irradiated hellhole around Charleston, in which case you got plenty of other problems to worry about. So I feel like this could be a very difficult Fallout game when you crank it up to max, put it on whatever their version of survival mode is going to be, and maybe even modify it, add some mods, make it harder. That'll be interesting. But it'll be a very different setting for Fallout. It'll be a very exciting Fallout game, and I'm interested to see what the story is here. Obviously, the settlement building aspects are supposed to be a big part of the game, and co-op is supposed to be at least a very notable part of the game. We'll see how that all plays out. I'm not sure about that yet. But, I mean, no matter how it plays out, I'm going to end up playing the shit out of this game. That's just how it is. I'm just really excited to see where the story goes with that. Because for me, Fallout, having a good story is always a big chunk of it. Fallout 4's story is pretty mediocre, so I didn't enjoy that game as a Fallout game as much. I more enjoyed that as a moddable experience to do whatever I wanted with. And, oh boy, Thomas' Tank Engine really improved it. But New Vegas, even without mods, that game was a blast just because the story was so good. The gunplay being improved from Fallout 3 helps, but still the stories, both the main quest was pretty good and the side quests were all entertaining. And there were a lot of fantastic story moments throughout New Vegas, mainly in side quests and encounters that you could find in DLCs. Oh boy, good times. So I gotta hope that Fallout 76 takes up after that. No word yet on Creation Club, on DLCs, on focus between story DLCs and expansions, or between like your settlement DLCs. I don't know. That's all probably going to be discussed at the actual conference, which again, is only a little while away. Oh boy, I'm getting really excited, you know. So it'll be really exciting. But, for now, just get excited to maybe fight the Enclave again and explore West Virginia after having been bombed to fucking shit. But not really, because there's just still trees everywhere. So, yeah, I'm hyped. I hope you guys are getting hyped. Should be exciting. Oh, I'm really excited now, Yeah, so that's all for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, which probably will only be in a few hours from now when the conference is over and I give my thoughts on that. That'll probably be a bit of a longer video. I'll make probably a shorter video just to give a general idea of what happened. But yeah, no, I'm just really excited. This is a good day, This is one of them good days, But yeah, so I'll see you guys in that next video, which should be coming shortly. Stay tuned for the next few hours. That should be coming out. If not in the next few hours, definitely tomorrow. Depends on exactly how much I need to get wrapped up and put together for that. I really don't know what all is going to be at the conference. If there's a crap ton, then probably make a video on what they said about Fallout 76, and I'll make a video the next day about Prey and anything about Elder Scrolls or Rage 2 or Doom or Wolfenstein or any of that might be showing up. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Lick and subscribble. Goodbye.